Hello, I am Vitold, and after having ridden all mid-size adventure motorcycles along with the large ones, in this breakdown here I'll present you my perspective on the pros and cons of the new, from 2023, Honda Transalp, or as Honda officially advises to name it, Honda XL750 Transalp. Now this is my own perspective after renting this bike myself, not being given it for a month by Honda for free, so it is an unbiased view. Regardless of this, make sure that you try it yourselves, as this is just going to be a sort of a indication based on my personal preferences and my very own feelings about it. Now let me start with what's great about the Transalp, with the first pro, which is awesome handling. This new Transalp almost at all times feels super light, nimble, and is eager to turn while staying neutral at a lean. The only circumstances where I wish it felt a little bit easier to ride is at the lowest crawling speeds, but it's also not bad there, and the bike feels generally light. The second pro is the comfortable plush seat that I find pretty nice myself. Maybe a tiny bit too springy, as at some point it starts feeling like it's sagging a little bit too much, but it's definitely better than average in my opinion. And you know I like it comfy. When you see my electric office chair, it's called 7G11, which is electrically adjustable in 18 directions. There's nothing else like this in the world, so check it out at powerseats.eu. Now the next point for the Transalp is about its great sounding engine, especially at idle and low RPM. It is an inline twin engine, so nothing special, but Honda seems to just know how to engineer a very nice exhaust, so I am a fan here. In the fourth point, I am happy to mention that the transmission on this bike is really working as it should, with no missed gears and even reliably working quick shifter. That's just blowing my mind. Clearly, Honda is not only skilled at developing automatic to DCT gearboxes, but also regular ones. The one in the Transalp is definitely pro and a pro. The fifth point on the list is about the best rear brake that I might have ever experienced on any motorcycle. It's truly fantastic, and all others should follow in terms of strength, ease of dosing, and well-calibrated ABS, which is key. Great job, Honda, really. Now in the sixth point, I believe it's worth mentioning that overall it is a super competent motorcycle that I think it will do everything pretty well. So it is a good mix in my opinion. It does well in the city and also outside the city. It is okay comfort-wise and will also let you enjoy a twisty mountain road. It isn't always the case, so it deserves a separate point here to be listed in a separate point. The seventh pro is fantastic value for money, especially in comparison with some other competitors from the mid-size adventure segment of motorcycles. It is not cheap, this Transalp, and it doesn't feel cheap, but for the price, we are getting a very competent machine that doesn't lack basically anywhere, I think. Number 8 is more about the name, as Transalp should in most places around the world be considered as a strong brand of a mid-size do-it-all motorcycle. It is a similar story to Africa Twin actually. But the last 9th advantage on my list is also a more general point. That's about it being a Japanese bike from one of the most trusted manufacturers. And there are certain benefits, or at least expectations here. For example, when it comes to reliability, you might have more peace of mind knowing that there's a Honda with a good reputation in this area waiting for you in your garage and being ready for whenever you are too. And so this is complete, leaving us with the unfavorable parts of the bike, and there are a few. Starting off with average engine performance, even despite rather high power numbers on paper. It may be disappointing, even though up until around 80 kilometers per hour, it generally is fine. Then above 8,000 RPM, the engine goes back to sleep and there's really no point revving it higher, as it feels like it wants to implode. It's not the most flexible engine out there, again, contrary to what we could expect from the numbers. The second con is, well, there is some equipment that you would expect to be there on this bike, or at least to be available as an option. I mean specifically two, in the form of a cruise control and cornering ABS. Some riders very much like using cruise control, and it's hard to understand why Honda doesn't offer it here. Cornering ABS is also something that, well, come on, it should be there. I get it that keyless access is super advanced or electronically adjustable suspension, but well, it could have been better here in the Transalp with that cruise control and that ABS. The third one is that I personally find Transalp not dealing well enough with larger bumps. On a flat road it's great, on a gravel road it's really composed. Riding over uneven terrain when in a lean is super impressive, but then just riding straight and over something that's there on the tarmac that sticks out, or there is a pothole, it is very clearly transferred to the rider's body, way too clearly in my opinion, and it impacts comfort negatively. The fourth con is that the rear brake lever is located too high for me to be able to use it comfortably. It would need some smart modification to lower the lever, and if I was to get a Transalp, I would look for a solution to that. Then in the fifth place on the list of things to improve are vibrating foot pegs. However, perhaps this would be improved if there were installed those rubber pads on top of the foot pegs. This would also lift the rider's feet and whole legs, and maybe the rear brake would then be easier to use. This sounds like a thing that's worth giving a try, unless it badly impacts the knee angle, which you'd have to check yourselves. But let's definitely keep it in mind as a potential fix here. Now, moving to the sixth thing that may be far from perfect, we've got that front lamp that, as I understand, is taken straight from another Honda, and this impacts Transalp's perception and image if it's partially the same bike as some other motorcycle. Is it some sort of recycling going on here in one of the most obvious spots? Well, come on, Honda, give it some individual character. Now, the last thing that's on the list, and maybe most likely a result of a cost savings, is that the cross-spoked rims on the Transalp come with tubed tires, which can be a pain in the bum and require you approaching them differently when replacing at the workshop so that they don't damage the tubes inside. It is a little bit of a strange policy there. So there you have my view of the pros and cons of this new Transalp 750, XL750 Transalp, which I tested fully in my honest review. That is linked there in the description of this video. Check it out too if you are interested in this motorcycle, and if you would like to know even more, well, even more about what it's like to ride it. Subscribe for next summaries of also its competitors, and see you there.